Springbok Radio proudly presents Tales from the Seven Seas. Stories specially written for this series by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen, and introduced by Hamish MacLeod.
The story begins in an unlikely place, Hollywood. Now, in 1944, Hollywood was still the glamorous capital of the film industry, and all the major studios were in full production, despite the fact that many of the male stars were unavailable, since they'd elected to don a uniform and take part in the biggest production of all, the Second World War. But Brad Baxter was not one of this number. I've called my story The Gimmick.
Mr. Baxter?
What is it, Chang?
Mr. Green is here.
It's about time.
He is waiting in the lounge. If you will tell me which clothes I should get out of the closet.
Never mind that. Tell Green to come in here.
In here? In the bedroom?
That's what I said.
Yes, Mr. Baxter. Your robe, Mr. Baxter?
Never mind the robe, Chang. Go tell Green.
Yes, Mr. Baxter.
I got your message.
Where were you all yesterday? What do you think I pay you for? When I leave word that I want to see you urgently, I mean urgently.
Yeah, so urgent that you're still sitting in your pajamas.
So what do you expect? Top hat and tails? Ah, hell. Help yourself to a drink. Let's get on to business.
Well, 9:45 in the morning, sir. A little early for me.
Everything's a little early for you. You're always too late. I'm the one who suffers for it.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about a movie that's in a pipeline, a movie called The Hurricane.
Oh,
They're planning on testing every two-bit player for the league, but my name's never been mentioned. So, why hasn't it been mentioned?
Well, the glass in your hand is one reason. Hey, you're poison, Brad. The studio won't touch you.
It's your job to convince them. That's what you get paid for.
Oh, come on. I've earned every cent I've ever had from you. You'd have been finished long before this if I hadn't nursed you, covered up for you, gone crawling on my hands and knees, begging slimy jerk reporters to kill the bad publicity.
They got paid for it just like you did.
Yeah, sure, they got paid for it, and I got paid for it. But you've nothing much left to pay with, Brad, and you haven't made many friends along the way who'll chip in for you or even say a good word for you. And then you're through.
And the rats leave the sinking ship. But if I go down, I'm taking you with me.
How's that?
I'm the only person in Hollywood who knows the real identity of a one-time movie columnist called Max Murphy. He didn't last long, but he did say some nasty things about Irving Schwartz.
What, but that was 20 years ago.
That's right, when Irving was a nobody, but now he's the head of the most powerful studio in Hollywood, and he has a memory like an elephant. It's his boast that he never forgives. And if he ever finds out that you're the guy who wrote what you did, the word will go right around the industry, and you won't even find a job as an usher in a movie house. You know that's true, don't you, Max?
And you do it, too. You little washed-up thing.
Yeah, I do it. You may play any out of me, Green. I've been your meal ticket for years. While the money was rolling in, you didn't complain about covering up or killing bad publicity. But now that the funds are drying up, you don't think it's worth your while anymore. You prefer to latch onto a new boy on the way up and suck him dry like a leech you are. But that isn't on the cards, because just like I said, if I'm washed up, so are you. All right, Brad. You have me over a barrel. I know what Irving Schwartz is, but I can't work miracles. Look at you. Your eyes are redder than a traffic light, and the pouches underneath could hold a couple of baby kangaroos. And this is the product I'm supposed to sell? If I looked like Gable or Robert Taylor, I wouldn't have hired you in the first place. You have to sell me, Green, because it's not just money at stake. It's your future as well as mine. You don't have to keep repeating the message. I got it the first time. But if we're both to survive, you have to cooperate. I only drink too much if I'm bored or nervous. Well, that's out from now on. Look, supposing I could swing it, persuade them to task you for the lead in a hurricane. Do you know what you'd come out like on celluloid? Yeah. You'd look like something dragged out of Skid Row. Wait a minute. You calling a studio? Are you kidding? With the shape you're in? Hello? Desmond's Gymnasium Supplies? Yeah. Yeah, I want a whole pile of equipment sent over to this address. 2234 Harvard Avenue, Beverly Hills. You got that? Yeah. I also want a rowing machine, some dumbbells, chest expanders, a skipping rope, a punch bag, and...
For the next few weeks, Brad Baxter followed a Spartan regime of diet and daily exercise, while Green tried every trick he knew to persuade the studio that Baxter had turned over a new leaf and should be tested for the part in the forthcoming film. But in the harsh and cynical world of filmmaking, Brad Baxter was already regarded as a has-been, and no one showed any interest in helping him to make a comeback. Green was a worried man. He had been preparing to wash his hands of the former star until Baxter threatened him. And Green was well aware that the threat was not an idle one. Irving Schwartz was the most powerful and most feared man in Hollywood, and he never forgot, nor forgave. And although it was 20 years since Green had written the insulting newspaper column, he knew what to expect if Schwartz ever discovered that he had been the author. Yet there seemed no way of persuading the studio to use Brad Baxter.
Good evening, Mr. Green.
Oh, hello, Chang. Mr. Baxter in?
Yes, sir. He is in the library.
Oh, okay, Chang. I know where the library is. You get back to whatever you were doing.
Yes, Mr. Green.
Oh, Chang.
Yes, Mr. Green?
Bring me something to drink, will you? Scotch. I think I'm going to need it. Then you better bring 2 glasses.
Yes, Mr. Green.
You didn't just come to pay a social call. So what do you got to report? Not a thing. That's really what I came to tell you. What do you... Oh, good, Chang. Just put it down on the table. What do you mean you've nothing to tell me? Exactly what I say. Nobody will listen, Brad. All I have to do is mention your name and they remember urgent business that they've got to see to. I've tried everything I know, but there's nothing doing. I see. Well, that's tough, Green. Tough for both of us. Oh, give me a break. I've tried. I've done all I could. No free gifts, Green. You never gave me any. You're a parasite, living on other people's talent. You couldn't even make it as a newspaper columnist. But the few weeks that you dabbled in it means that we both go down together, just like I said. I told Chang to bring 2 glasses. I thought you might need this. I know I do. Here. The first since I went on diet. Well, this calls for a toast. Let's see now, Yeah, I know. Here's to, Goodbye, Hollywood.
Brad, you wouldn't do this to me.
Wouldn't I, huh? I don't have to look up Irving Schwartz's number. I have it off by heart. I may be slow at learning lines, but telephone numbers I never forget.
Look, hold it, Brad. Wait, I just had an idea.
Oh, yeah? Let's hear it.
Well, you see, it suddenly hit me that the way we could get the studio to take notice is to pull off a really big publicity stunt. Huh? You know, if we could get your name headlined all over the country, all over the world maybe, they'd start having second thoughts.
And that's your idea? Every worthwhile publicity stunt that can be pulled has already been done by the studios.
Yeah.
And there's a war on, remember?
I know it.
The papers have more important things to write up than Hollywood shenanigans. 2 weeks ago, Mailersaur got married in the air, in a balloon. It rated 4 lines and a middle page at the end of a column.
That isn't the kind of thing I had in mind.
Oh? What do you have in mind?
Well, I don't know yet. I have to think about it.
Okay, start thinking. I've already been married 5 times, so a Brad Baxter wedding isn't exactly news anymore.
No, not unless...
Unless nothing. You're stalling, Green. You're stalling. But it won't do you any good. Or me either.
But, look, I haven't thought about it yet. Will you give me a couple of minutes just to get... Wait a minute. I think I've got it. Yeah, I got it. Listen, The Hurricane's a movie about a ship caught in a hurricane, right?
Yeah? So what?
So we hire a boat, and the boat gets lost in a storm.
What the hell are you talking about?
Look, the boat disappears with you on it now. Now, listen, I've been feeding out the information that for the last few years you've been seriously ill without knowing it.
Okay.
Which accounts for all the things that happened. But now they've discovered a new wonder drug that has cured you, and you've been ordered to get right away for a couple of weeks. So really sets you on your feet, huh? So that's why you decide to hire the boat, the yacht. Yeah, this'll work, Brad. It'll work. You look a different person already with all the exercise you've been getting. Why, anyone would believe that you've just been cured of an illness. We'll take a bunch of photographs when you go on the yacht, and then, when you disappear, I'll hand them out to the papers with a full story. Famous star disappears at sea. That headline will go round the world, war or no war. And the illness bit will drum up more sympathy and make it seem all the more ironic that the trip, which should have brought you back to complete health and strength, was your last.
You spoke about a publicity stunt. Now you sound like you're composing my obituary.
So I am. The whole world's got to believe that you're dead, drowned at sea. Then, suddenly, the miracle.
Oh, yeah.
The yacht comes limping home to port, battered but triumphant. And the rest of the crew are full of your praises. What a great guy you are. How you never lost heart. How you even saved one of their lives.
Oh, yeah? How do I do that?
Well, I haven't figured it out yet, but I will. And now, look, I've got to get the outline. I can fill in the details later. This is going to be the greatest drama since Mutiny on the Bounty. So the details of the plan were worked out by Green. He hired the yacht, the Swallow, and bribed the skipper and crew to fall in with his scheme. The yacht would put out to sea with as much publicity as Green could muster. Then at nightfall, it would creep along the coast and put in at a private and secluded cove. Here it would stay for 10 days, having no contact with the outside world. Then again at nightfall, it would slip out of the cove and limp home to port, showing all the signs of having been caught in a sudden freak storm. By Green's calculations, Brad Baxter would be the hero of the hour. There was a small crowd of interested spectators as the Swallow set off. Hold it right there, Brad. We want a couple of last shots of you waving to the crowd. Right, now take off your cap and give us a couple more pulling on those ropes.
You mean like this?
You want to lower the sail, keep on pulling, buddy.
That's great. Now lift up your head while you explain to him how it's done.
You explain to me how to sail a boat. Take it away, Johnny. Let's move out of here.
Now get up in front, Brad. Right up in front. Yeah, I want a profile shot, looking straight ahead and into the distance.
Chow's up. Will you tell that actor?
Sure, Johnny. Chow's up.
Chow. Good. This sea air's whipping up my appetite, and I've been on a diet. Yeah, I could do with some real food. Hey, I'll have it up here.
Wait a minute, Ray. Let's get one thing straight. We're being paid to come in on a publicity gimmick, but that don't mean that we're running no hotel. You fetch and carry for yourself. Ain't no waiters about to swallow.
Yeah, hold on there. Jake, isn't it?
That's right.
I don't think you quite in the picture. I'm the guy that's footing the bill for this trip.
Is that so?
Yeah, that's so. And it's costing me plenty. So I'd like a little service for my money.
Well, I got news for you, buddy. You might be the guy that makes the final payment, but I already got my cut. You think I'd do something like this without the dough in advance? So it's your friend Green you have to settle up with. Me, I got my money. And I was paid to take you aboard the Swallow and hide out for 10 days. I'm doing it for the money because I need the money. But I don't need any smarmy-faced actors snapping their fingers at me. You got that?
Will I ever be glad to get out of this cold? Doesn't seem such a bad idea when that guy Green suggested it. But I'm going out of my mind just sitting here with nothing to do.
Yeah, sure is monotonous.
Still, no use complaining. We're getting paid for it.
Yeah. I couldn't bring myself to say no to the money, but I don't feel too good about it.
You mean hiding out
I
here?
mean, the whole thing. The more I think about it, the more it seems to me that once we get back to port, our best bet is to disappear.
You mean a hideout somewhere else?
No. I mean, we head the Swallow out to sea and stay out till all the fusses die down. Let Mr. Green and that actor do all the explaining. Then if there's any kickback, we won't be involved.
Oh, what kickback could there be? Hollywood's always setting up publicity stunts.
I don't know. I just got a feeling.
What kind of feeling?
I don't know. I just feel I shouldn't have got us into this. I don't like it. We've taken on this Baxter guy, and we have to follow it through by hiding out here, but that don't mean when we get back that we have to say the pieces Green's told us to say.
Yeah.
No, I reckon when we get this Baxter guy back where he belongs, that's where the deal finishes. Okay, take it away, Johnny.
Right, okay.
Hey, now, wait a minute. I thought you were going to change the sails for this trip back. Put up torn sails to make it look as if we were through a storm.
I ain't got no torn sails.
But Green said that was part of the party.
Then Green got it wrong.
You were supposed to make it look like we were in a storm. And the radio was supposed to be put out of action.
Now, why should I bust a good radio, huh?
To make the whole thing look authentic, of course.
Yeah. And I was told to say that in the storm I slipped and you dived overboard and saved me. Ha! I bet you can't even swim.
It so happens that I can. But that's got nothing to do with it. You were paid to do a job. Now do it. If you think we're going to let you cheat us, you've got another thing coming.
Yeah? And what are you going to do? Complain to the police department? Tell them how I cheated you while you were trying to cheat the public?
You knew what it was all about when you took the money.
I thought I did. But that's before I got to thinking. And the more I've been thinking, the less I like it. There's a war on, and lots of men are being killed, and lots of sailors are being drowned. And here I find myself mixed up in a cheap, fake drowning.
It's a pity your morals didn't surface before you made the deal with Green.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking, too. 10 days in the cove gave me plenty time for it. At first, I didn't feel too good about what we were doing, and I couldn't really put my finger on what was worrying me. But I'm not worried about any kickbacks. I'm not worried about any charges of false pretenses or whatever it is they could charge us with. It's the whole rotten scheme. It stinks. And I'm sorry I ever got mixed up in it.
Yeah. And now I suppose you'll be running to the newspapers with a whole story. There's money in that, too, huh?
I ain't running to no reporters. I'll be heading away from them just as soon as we've dropped you on shore.
Wind's coming up, Jake. Can you give me a hand here?
Okay, come on. To give a story about a fake storm, but this one ain't no fake.
It sure ain't, Jake. You think we can weather it?
We ain't got no choice.
This is madness. We'll all be drowned. Head back for the cove.
If there was a chance of that, we wouldn't be here.
This boat wasn't built to stand up to weather like this.
You know nothing about it. Now get out from under my feet, you fluttering up the deck.
What, Chad? You can't do that away.
Grab him, Johnny. Got him. He was supposed to save me. Throw him below.
How is he, Jerry?
He is recovering, Mr. Green, but he cannot forget that he almost drowned. Many times he has told me of it since he has come back.
Yeah, well, I better go see him.
Well, how are you, Brad? I'll never be the same again. Thanks to you and your brilliant idea, I was nearly drowned.
Yeah, I know.
It would have solved your problem, wouldn't it, huh? If I drowned, no more worries about Irving Schwartz. Was that the whole point of it?
You're accusing me of attempted murder?
Well, what else would you call it?
You're out of your mind. How could I have known that a freak storm would blow up? No one else did, not even the Weather Bureau.
So you say, huh? But I've only your word for it. And what happened to the headlines you promised me? World headlines, remember? I've seen some back issues of the papers, and there was barely a mention of me.
You got a few good paragraphs.
Yeah, the longest was 12 lines, and no picture.
They wouldn't buy the story. Not only the studio, but the papers and the public. They put it down to what it was, a publicity stunt.
Publicity stunt? I almost drowned, you moron.
I believe you, but no one else does. The yacht put back out to sea after they brought you in, and no one's been able to talk to the crew. And even if they did, it wouldn't help. It's taken for granted that they were bought off as part of the deal.
I went through the worst experience of my life, and you're telling me that no one will believe it?
It's worse than that, Brad. You may as well know now as later. There's a war on, full of real-life drama, and the public hasn't taken kindly to what they believe is a publicity gimmick. Not one like this. Well, I'll give it to you straight. They're disgusted.
But it was for real. Those waves were for real, I tell you.
Sure. But that's how it is. That's just how it is, Brad. So the great publicity gimmick came to nothing. Or rather, less than nothing, for Brad Baxter was worse off than before. His reputation plummeted to an all-time low. Green, without waiting for any further repercussions, left for Philadelphia and started an agency there. And if any of you should be feeling just a little sorry for Baxter, let me tell you that a few years later, he found a niche for himself in television. But he's never been known to set foot on a boat again.
You've been listening to Tales from the Seven Seas, written by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen. Listen next week at the same time to another enthralling story of the sea, produced by Andre Botma. Springbok Radio proudly presents Tales from the Seven Seas. Stories specially written for this series by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen, and introduced by Hamish MacLeod.
Good evening to you. It's Hamish MacLeod here with you again with my usual Saturday night story for you. And it's a true story I have for you tonight. A true story of an event in the history of the sea which threw echoes around the world. Echoes which sounded from London to New York, from Singapore to Peru. I've called the story The Drowning of the Giant.
Fresh new day, I'm feeling great. I feel so good, I just can't wait for days like this to celebrate. Come on, world, what is
Enjoy the wide-awake feeling you get from sleeping on the only mattress designed in cooperation with leading American orthopedic surgeons, Sealy Posturepedic.
Have a silly Posturepedic morning.
Which car fits with dignity into any occasion and with impudence into the smallest parking space?
It sounds like a lot in a little.
It is the Mini Clubman by Leyland. Built to give you a lot of class for a little money. Drive the Mini Clubman and you always fit the occasion. At Leyland, we breed 'em different.
Now, distinguished smoking comes to mild cigarettes in king-size length. Dunhill Superior Mild, king size. A mild, rewarding cigarette in the Dunhill tradition. Made with patience, care, and infinite skill to bring mildness to the gentle art of smoking. Now in king-size length, Dunhill Superior Mild, from the most distinguished tobacco house in the world.
Right, Henry. Is that it, or is there anything else to sign?
Just the letter to your uncle, Mr. Andrews.
Oh, yes, I was just going to ask about that. Will you read it to me, please, while I put these papers in order?
My dear uncle, my feelings on this occasion are decidedly mixed. On the one side is my distress at your most unfortunate illness, from which I trust and pray you will shortly recover. On the other side of this emotional coin is my, I cannot deny it, delight at the prospect of joining Captain Smith on this momentous voyage. I know that the shipping line would be more honored by your presence as chairman of the company, which has again distinguished itself with the building of this magnificent vessel. However, they will have to content themselves with yours truly. And after all, I did design her. I do hope, sir, that you will soon recover. I shall write to you from New York the moment we arrive. Remember me to my aunt, your affectionate nephew.
Yes. Yes, I think that's satisfactory.
Yes, Mr. Andrews.
I want to get it off to Lord Pirrie as soon as possible, Henry.
Of course, Mr. Andrews. If you'll just sign it, I'll see that it's posted right away. Shall I ask Captain Smith to come in now?
Good heavens. I've been so absorbed, I quite forgot he was there.
Shall I send him in?
Yes, yes, by all means.
Very good, Mr. Andrews. Captain Smith, Mr. Andrews is free now. Thank you.
Captain Smith, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Andrews. I came the moment I got your message. Is there something wrong?
With our ship? I trust not. No, my uncle is unwell and confined to bed.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Mr. Andrews. Nothing serious, I hope.
Nothing serious, but it prevents him from being on the maiden voyage, and he's asked me to take his place.
Uh-huh. Glad to have you with us, Mr. Andrews, though I dare say his lordship will be sorry to miss it.
Naturally. Now, we have 1 week. Final trials are set down for next Tuesday, the 2nd of April. All going well, she's scheduled to leave Belfast and sail for Southampton that same evening.
Mm-hmm.
We should arrive around midnight on Wednesday. Do I have that correct?
Perfectly, sir. Then another week in Southampton for final checking, and all being well, at Cherbourg and Queenstown to pick up the last of our passengers. And after that,
New York.
In the world's most advanced liner. Oh, you have good reason to be proud, Mr. Andrews.
So have a great number of other people. Designing a ship is only the beginning of the job. The final product is the work of many.
That's true. But one thing I'm sure of, Mr. Andrews. With this ship, we are going to make history. Well, Mr. Andrews, she's passed her test with flying colors. She maneuvers well and the machinery is faultless.
Not quite, Captain Smith. There's an electrical fault in the restaurant hot press which needs attention. I've got Mr. Parr working on it at the moment.
I'm sorry for laughing, Mr. Andrews, but I hardly think that will prevent us from putting to sea.
Nevertheless, there is a fault, and that's something I cannot countenance, however small it may be.
Of course. Now, if you'll excuse me, I must go and issue final orders.
Certainly, Captain Smith, certainly. There you are, Henry. Well, do you think she'll make Southampton?
I think she might manage it, Mr. Andrews.
And New York?
Around the world, Mr. Andrews, around the world, in a ship that's unsinkable.
Well, she's not going as far as that, Henry. And she's not unsinkable. Oh, she'd take quite a bit of sinking, but she's not unsinkable.
Another minute or so, we'll be pulling away.
Yes. It's the last I'll see of Belfast Loch for a while.
50,000 tons. It hardly seems credible.
Sir?
Captain Smith presents his compliments and asks if you'd care to join him on the bridge.
Excuse me, Henry. I'll see you later. Perhaps you could go through those lists for me in the meantime? Mr. Frost, you are foreman engineer. May I ask, do your men realize the importance of their work on my design? We sail tomorrow, Mr. Frost. You do know that.
I understood that everything had been done to your satisfaction, Mr. Andrews. Might I ask what particular defects you had in mind?
Firstly, there are 7 screws in each hat hook in the staterooms.
Yes, sir.
It's a needless waste of brass, and I don't like it. I want 3 screws removed from each hook.
Yes, Mr. Andrews. I'll attend to it at once.
There's also the matter of the tap in the bandmaster's washroom. It's leaking, Mr. Frost, and I will not have it leaking all the way to New York. I told you, Henry. Keep Mrs. Andrews informed of any news of this vessel.
Don't worry, sir, I will. I'm very envious, Mr. Andrews. I'd like to be coming with you. May I wish you a triumphant arrival in New York?
Thank you, Henry. And thank you for all your hard work. I do appreciate it.
Well, Tom, as I said, I'm very happy to be ship's doctor on this voyage. And are you pleased with how she's behaving? From the designer's point of view, I mean.
I must confess that I'm rather delighted. Everything is going quite splendidly. Since we left Queenstown and had our last glimpse of Ireland, I and my little squad of men have been going over her with a fine tooth comb, as it were. She's a truly fine ship, John. And I'm having difficulty finding out where she could be improved.
You know, I'm rather surprised that she's little more than half full. I would have thought that a maiden voyage on the largest vessel afloat is everybody's dream.
Oh, dream, yes. But dreams are not always obtainable. It's quite an expensive jaunt, you know. Actually, we've got 1,316 passengers and 885 crew.
Oh.
We can take another 2,600 passengers.
Oh, she really is colossal. Well, they chose the right name for her. What could be more appropriate than Titanic?
Being over 40 shouldn't mean being over the hill. How about you? Do you feel older than you should? No energy or drive? Are you irritable, forgetful, and sleeping badly? Try Salusa 45. Salusa 45 is specially formulated to combat the symptoms of feeling old. Salusa 45 can help you recapture your zest for life, help make you livelier both in mind and body. Enjoy life. Feel years younger with Salusa 45.
Fifth Avenue cold duck.
Fifth Avenue cold duck.
Fifth Avenue cold duck. Fifth Avenue cold duck.
Fifth Avenue cold duck. Sparkling red wine with a flavor as unforgettable as the name. Fifth Avenue cold duck. It's a quacking great taste.
Fifth Avenue cold duck.
Mr. Murdoch. She's reacting beautifully. Not a hitch in the engine room. We're making 22 knots. Oh, I think we can feel quite happy with everything.
She's going as smooth as silk, sir. As smooth as silk.
Weather reports?
Entirely favourable, sir.
Good.
The little wind we had has dropped, and it's clear. There are no fog reports.
Excellent, excellent, Mr. Murdoch. Course?
42 degrees north, 47 degrees west.
No corrections necessary. Steady as she goes, Mr. Murdoch.
Aye, aye, sir.
Well, I think I'm going to turn in now.
I've posted 2 lookouts in the crow's nest, as usual in this area at this time of the year, sir.
Yes. Good. Though nothing to worry about, Mr. Murdoch. You and I have dodged icebergs before, eh?
Many a time, sir.
Well, good night, Mr. Murdoch.
Good night, sir.
Black as pitch. And incredibly calm. If it weren't so cold, it would be a perfect night.
It's about the deepest black I've ever seen. It's only when there's no moonlight that you miss it.
And no other ships around is only gleam through the darkness. At least, if there are any ships on the port side of us, they're keeping their lights doused.
As long as they stay to the side of us and don't head towards us. 3 bells? Well, that can't be right. It's only 20 to 12.
3 bells means obstruction ahead. I wonder what's out there.
Bridge? What? Right.
Hard to starboard, Mr. Higgins. Full speed astern. Repeat, stop. Full speed astern. Close all watertight doors. Close all watertight doors. Emergency procedures. Repeat, emergency procedure. Ah, we've hit it! Hold us starboard, keep us starboard, Mr. Higgins! What the devil's happened, Murdoch? Iceberg, sir. Sighted 1,500 feet on starboard side. I gave the customary helm order, sir, and commanded Chief Engineer Bell to stop and make full speed astern.
Quite right, Mr. Murdoch, quite right. However, we appear to have hit it.
But the sighting was well below minimum, sir. We needed about 8,000 feet warning for corrective measures to be effective, sir.
We're stopped now. We'd best wait and assess the damage. It shouldn't be too bad, rubbing along some ice and this iron maid.
Bridge? Yes, that's for you, sir. Chief Engineer Bell.
Yes, Mr. Bell. What? Well, keep the dynamos in action and get the pumps going immediately and report developments.
What is it, sir?
We're making water and we're making it fast. Captain speaking. I see. Well, for heaven's sake, see that there's no panic, Mr. Frost. Mr. Bell has got the pumps working and everything should be all right. We'll be making an inspection as soon as possible. No, I'm not unduly worried. It will take a lot of flooding to affect us. And what I am concerned about is the morale of the passengers. Can you imagine what would happen if they got the mistaken impression that the ship was in danger? We'd not only have to cope with the damage, but with chaos as well. Now, we must inspect right away. That will enable me to put everyone's mind at rest. Get Mr. Andrews for me.
Right, sir.
Please, I appeal to you. Please keep calm. There is no cause for alarm. This ship is designed to the maximum safety requirements. There is no reason to assume that she has, in fact, sustained any damage at all.
But what about the lifeboat?
Please keep calm. Should the need arise, everyone will be looked after. Have no fear on that score.
Are you sure, Tom? Are you sure she's not damaged?
Of course I'm not sure. I can't be sure until I inspect.
And the boats? If we have to go to the boats?
For heaven's sake, John, let's hope it doesn't come to that. Pray that it doesn't. Just pray that it doesn't. There's provision for less than 1,200.
But there are more than 2,000 people.
I said pray, John.
Mr. Andrews. Reports have been coming in that she's making water at a considerable rate.
Even if as many as 3 of the watertight compartments are flooding, we're still safe. And it can't be as serious as that.
Well, let's find out. Mr. Murdoch, tell no one anything unless it's to issue instructions.
Aye, aye, sir.
I can't believe it. I simply can't believe it.
Nor can I. Yet it's true. It's true. We're beyond the limit of safety, Captain Smith. Far beyond the limit. I feel numb. Numb.
But how long have we got? Even to ask the question seems unreal.
She'll trim so much by the head that as soon as number 6 boiler room is completely flooded, the water will spill into number 5. And that process will continue until... She can't last. She'll go. Incredible as it seems, the Titanic is doomed. She'll be gone in less than 2 hours.
2 hours?
2 hours for the destruction of the largest liner afloat. And worse than that, how are we going to save the lives of the 1,000 people for whom we have no boats?
I'll send out the distress signal immediately.
And I'll go and see what I can do amongst the passengers.
2 hours, you said, Mr. Andrews?
At the most. 2 hours.
General order, Mr. Murdoch. Sir? All boats under davits must be uncovered and made ready.
Aye, sir.
Establish ship's position and have Mr. Phillips send out a CQD at once.
Distress signal, sir. Is it bad, sir?
It's worse than bad, Mr. Murdoch. It's disastrous. We have 2 hours at the outside and order Mr. Bell to blow steam.
Passengers, please proceed to boat stations. Passengers, please proceed to boat stations. Please. All I can tell you is that there is an emergency. We must be orderly and disciplined. Collect warm clothing and get to the boat stations without delay. There is no need for panic.
Tom, what's happened?
Well, for heaven's sake, don't tell them. But the ship can't stay afloat for more than about an hour and a half.
What?
We must get as many people to the boats as possible.
But there aren't enough boats, you know that. There aren't enough boats. We can't save everyone. We can't.
Don't you think I know that? It's the one thought uppermost in my mind, and there's nothing I can do about it.
It's unbelievable. Not enough boats. How do you tell people that?
John, you're the ship's doctor. It's not your place to say anything other than words of calmness and comfort.
But you designed her, Tom. You designed her. Why aren't there enough boats?
She has 20% more than the regulation number. I didn't determine that.
Regulation number?
Come on, please now, ladies, stop it now. Come on, please.
It'll never hold hanging up there. It'll never hold everyone. It'll fall into the sea and they'll all be drowned.
No, they won't be drowned.
They'll all be drowned.
Don't be drowned now. Please, lady, please don't waste time. Come along. You two, lady.
The engines are our business, lads. We're not concerned with what's happening up on deck. Nothing to do with us. We've got to keep those pumps going, haven't we? Come on, lads. Look cheerful. It'll soon be Christmas.
All right, you men. There aren't any more women here, so into the boats. And look lively now.
But my wife, she must be here somewhere. I can't go without her. I can't go without her.
Sir, I'm sure your wife's already in a boat, sir. Now, come along, quickly, please, into that boat.
No, get your hands off me.
Come
Get
on,
your
please.
hands.
Sir?
Mr. Murdoch.
Last boat on starboard side was launched 20 minutes ago, sir. Last boat on the port side is now being launched.
Good, Mr. Murdoch, good.
There are still many people left, sir.
And no more boats. No more boats. Thank you, Mr. Murdoch. And I'm sorry.
Sorry, sir?
Yes. Aren't you?
Tom! Tom, for heaven's sake. The last boat is going. Well, don't just stand there, Tom. Don't you understand?
The Titanic won't last another 10 minutes.
Oh, Tom. How can you stand as though you had all night?
Oh, much longer than that, John. Much longer than that.
For the sake of your wife, your family, Tom. Oh, I'm begging you. She's sinking, Tom. She's sinking. I'm going now. I'm going.
God bless you, John.
The House of Martel makes many fine brandies. Martel VO is one of them. Very old, very smooth. Now produced in South Africa under the supervision of the House of Martel, France. And every lover of brandy knows one word of French: Martel.
And that was it. God bless you, John. And the sea had won another victory for herself. The harsh fact is that on that icy morning at 2:20, on the 15th of April, 1912, the Titanic went to an early, watery grave. Of the 2,201 people on board, only 711 lived to see the dawn. Thomas Andrews, the gifted designer of the Giant, was drowned with his vision. At the formal investigation before the Wreck Commissioner, Lord Mersey, Andrews was exonerated of all blame. And now, I'll say good night to you, but don't forget, I'll have another tale to tell next week.
You've been listening to Tales from the Seven Seas, written by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen. Listen next week at the same time to another enthralling story of the sea, produced by Andre Botma. Springbok Radio proudly presents Tales from the Seven Seas. Stories specially written for this series by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen, and introduced by Hamish MacLeod.
The strange adventures of two young sailors, Bill Wood and Jerry Conley. And it begins in the year 1880 in San Francisco, where Bill and Jerry were spending a few days while their ship, the Mary Dorothy, was being repaired and fitted out for the return voyage to England. I've called the story The Diet of Death.
You know, it's always the same, Jerry. Always the same. You spend your days waiting to get ashore, and after about 48 hours, you're waiting to go back on board. You're right.
course, not having 2 pennies to rub together doesn't make things any brighter, does it, Bill? I mean, if we were still in the money...
Well, we're not. So what's the point of talking about what we could do? I'm sick of wandering around. Nothing to do. Nowhere to go.
Get the hell out! Stay out, you drunken bum!
At least he had the wherewithal to get to the stage of being thrown out.
He'll probably end up in some alley with his wallet taken.
Hey, hello there.
You talking to us?
Oh, well, I guess I am. Yes, sir. A couple of Jack Tars, aren't you? Off one of the ships.
That's right. Yeah.
I used to be in the same trade myself. So I always have a fellow feeling for foreign sailors wandering around a strange port.
You gave up the sea, did you?
Oh, yes, sir, I did. A long time ago. Oh, a long time ago. But I guess I'm still nostalgic about it. I reckon there's a part of me which will always belong to the sea. Oh, I never miss an opportunity to talk to sea. That kind of cheers me up, you know.
Yes, well, that's very nice.
Say, why don't you two fellas come and have a drink with me, eh? Pass an hour or two. What'd you say?
Well, that is...
Oh, you got something better to do,
No, it's not that.
Oh, well, somewhere else to go.
We don't drink very much.
Oh, well, all right. We'll have a sarsaparilla. Come on, eh? I'm inviting you for the pleasure of your company. Oh, and there's no need to look so embarrassed. I know how it is with sailors. Money seems to go so quick in those first few days.
Well, look, we appreciate it.
Good, fine. Come on, then. Oh, there's a saloon right here. Come on. You'll be doing me a favor.
Jerry? What? What is it? What is it, Bearer?
Hey, Jerry, wake up. We're aboard a ship. Hey, how we get here?
Yeah? I can't think. What happened?
Hey, it's coming back to me. It's coming back. We were walking. That's it. In Frisco. Walking. A stranger. Yeah, a stranger came up to us and insisted we have a drink.
Yes, that's right. We went into a saloon with him, but we only had one drink as far as I can remember.
That's all we had. Just one. And it was doped. Oh, my name's not Bill Wood.
Doped? Oh, that explains why I'm feeling so bad.
Jerry, you realize what's happened? We've been shanghaied. That's what. Shanghaied.
Shanghaied. Just as in former days when press gangs roamed the seafront areas and forced men into naval service, so in the latter part of the last century, sailors would be drugged and wakened to find themselves well out to sea on an unfamiliar ship. The reason for this latter-day form of abduction was never hard to find. 9 times out of 10, the captain would be engaged on some illicit venture, and if he couldn't man his ship by normal means, he made up his complement with Shanghaied sailors. Bill and Jerry found themselves unwilling members of the crew aboard the vessel Ebenezer Wright. The captain and his henchmen were a cruel, villainous bunch, and they governed the ship by terror. Their destination was not made known, nor was the purpose of the voyage. Bill and Jerry kept to themselves as much as possible and did their best to stay out of trouble and to steer clear of the rum-soaked, pistol-brandishing captain.
Bill! Where's Jerry? There's got to be trouble. There's talk of mutiny below.
Yeah, it doesn't come as a surprise.
eyes. I wondered how long it'd be before something happened. Men can only take so much, you know. A pig of a captain. He deserves hanging. Oh, I'd love to get my hands on him. Yeah, take away the guns from him and his friends, and we'd soon find out how tough they are.
The mutineers think the same. At 8 bells, they plan to rush the first and second mates as they exchange watches.
What?
Then if the skipper and third mate resist, they'll shoot them out of hand.
Oh, then they're serious. They mean to go through with this plan.
It depends on you, Bill.
Me? Oh, why me? What do you mean it depends on me?
Well, you're the only one of the crew with a mate's certificate. You're the only one of us who could navigate this ship.
Mutiny? You hear stories about mutinies, you never think you might be in one.
What else can we do? How long can we go on as we are? Captain.
Plotting in a corner, huh? You stupid fools. Do you really think you'd get away with it? Did you?
But, Captain, we don't.
Oh! Shut your mouth when I'm talking, Charlie. You don't move. Don't move a muscle or you get it in the belly.
Oh.
Mutineers, eh? Blabbing your plans like fishwives. You lost your chance, would you? Lost it. You'll never navigate my ship or any ship for that matter. Pick up that scum from the deck and walk in front of me. You hear me, Wood?
You all right, Jerry?
Yes. Quit the cackle and move.
Come on.
You're so lucky I don't empty my revolver into backs. Be ashamed to waste the lead. But anyway, the crew's jumpy enough as it is. Shots might make them nervous. All right. Stop where you are. The cutter lowered.
Lowered and ready, Captain.
Right. Over the side, you two. Into the cutter. Keep that gun on the silver.
Ready, Captain. Yeah, where are we going? Where are you sending us?
To some friends of mine ashore. They'll look after you.
Out of the frying pan into the fire. With the hands of Chinese pirates.
Yeah.
They must have control of this whole village. Those who are not pirates seem completely intimidating.
Yeah, and the pirates don't even have to guard us. Among all these Chinese, we're as conspicuous as a candle in a darkened room. If we attempt to escape overland, we'll be picked up within minutes. And to escape by sea, well, on our own, without help, it's out of the question.
Well, I wonder where we are, Bill, eh? I mean, whereabouts in China?
Oh, it's a big place, China. Yeah, I've been trying to work it out. I've been to Shanghai before. We didn't come as far north as this. Yeah, I guess we're on the mainland, nearly opposite the island of Formosa. It's only a guess. I might be wrong.
It doesn't really matter, I suppose, because it doesn't help, does it?
No. But I know now what cargo we're carrying. Guns? Guns. That's right. Gun running to China. Pays well. I'll tell you something else. Few of the crew will get home alive.
And us? What about our chances?
Well, I don't fancy them very much. In China, pirates are given no quarter. If they caught, they publicly beheaded. So they're careful not to be caught.
Then it's unlikely the pirates will let us live, in case we inform them.
You've hit the nail on the head, Jerry. We've no idea why we're here, but whatever the reason, they're going to make sure we never leave alive.
Bill.
Hey?
Could I have a visitor? Here comes one of the Chinese pirates.
Oh. Well, perhaps now we'll find out why we're here. We really had food, so that can't be the reason for his visit.
You come. You come. Follow me. Savvy?
Yeah, we savvy. Lead the way. It's better than just sitting here, waiting.
He's leading us down to the beach.
Yeah, it feels like it. But why? They could have killed us where we were.
Stop! Here! This! Savvy? This!
Hey, look at what he's showing us. Caulking irons, saws, hammers, canvas,
copper, grindstones, a whole store of things.
Savvy? You savvy?
Yeah, we savvy, all right. I've looked at all this stuff. Most likely he murdered the crew of a merchant ship to get it.
There.
You fix! There, fix! Savvy!
Bill, I think he means that big trading junk.
Yeah, I'm beginning to understand. They want us to fit it out, repair it. All this stuff here is material for the job.
Well, if they want us to work, it means we stay alive a little bit longer.
Savvy? You fix! Savvy! Yeah, we savvy. Here, Jerry, hand me a hammer. Here. Bill, be careful! Lower the gun, my Chinese friend. I'm not going to hit you with the hammer. Boat on water. We fix. Like this. Hey? We fix. Paint. We fix. Savvy? Jerry, food's all right. Well, I'm glad of that. He's late today.
I hope he's brought plenty. I've worked up a good appetite.
Seems to be enough.
You like? Right.
I'd rather have bacon and eggs, but beggars can't be choosers.
When work done, you eat rice, milk, and honey.
Rice, milk, and honey? What does he mean?
Good. Rice, milk, and honey, you see, you eat when work's done.
What's so amusing about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got a suspicion that it's not what it seems. I don't trust him.
Rice, milk, and honey?
Yeah, look, Jerry, let's not fool ourselves. We've been working on the junk. We know how they carry out their raids. We know that the innocent-looking junk is actually a fast, maneuverable raider. We know about the concealed hatches, everything. They're not going to let us go knowing all this. And they're certainly not going to give us a feast in gratitude for our work.
Oh, no. But I still don't understand this business of the rice, milk, and honey.
Hey, never mind that. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that they can't afford to let us leave here alive.
And what can we do about it? We've been taking the work on the junk as slowly as we can, but we can't stretch it out forever. What can we do?
Well, if I knew, we wouldn't be standing here talking about it.
Thank a friendly stranger in San Francisco for all this. If it hadn't been for him...
Yeah, I'll tell you this. If we ever get back to San Francisco, I'm going to find that fella. I'm going to find him and I'm going to... Yeah. What the devil's going on? Well, let's find out. Come on. It's a fight. It's a fight. Look. There's a man trying to stop it. Trying to pull him apart. He's down. They're turning on him. Come on, Bill. Come on, for our fight. Here, you. Come on, get around me, Bonnie. Trample you to death.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're the man who tried to stop them?
Yes. Foolishly, I suppose. I tried.
You speak English?
Yes.
Bill, that's enough. Back to the boat. There's someone here who can speak English.
Well, now we have our breath back. Now, tell me, where'd you learn to speak English?
In Peking?
From the way you speak, I thought you might have gone to school in England. What lots of Chinese do.
You are correct. They do. But I have never been out of China. I hope to visit Europe and America someday before I am too old to travel. But I must thank you. You saved my life by coming to my aid.
Ah, nonsense. Saved you a few kicks, perhaps.
No, more than that. I was most unwise to attempt to intervene. I should have been killed if you had not assisted me.
All right, if you say so. We accept your thanks, and now let's forget about it, eh?
You don't seem like the rest of the people who live here.
I am a priest of the pagoda.
Oh, that fancy building on the side of the hill?
Yes. I was out walking. I came to the shore to meditate.
Well, you're not the sort of person we've come to expect around here.
There are good people living here as well as bad. All places are one in this respect.
Yeah, well, it's difficult for us to distinguish. When you can't speak the language, there's no way of knowing.
Ah, yes. The barrier of language is difficult to surmount. It would perhaps have been easier for you to choose to work in a larger city.
We didn't exactly choose to be here. We were brought.
Your tone suggests that you came here against your will?
Yes, perfectly correct. against our will. We were landed from a ship and made to do repairs on this trading junk here. We're prisoners.
Prisoners?
Oh, we're not kept behind bars. That's only because bars aren't needed. No hope of escaping.
Oh.
How far can we get? No money, no way getting free. We've no idea what the pirates intend to do with us when our work is finished.
Except that we've been promised a feast, remember, Bill? Rice, milk, and honey.
Yeah, not exactly my idea of a banquet.
Oh, did you say rice, milk, and honey?
Yes. Why? Has it some significance?
Oh, it is indeed significant. But it grieves me to put it into words.
Well, what does it mean? Oh, for heaven's sake, tell us. Whatever it is.
A diet of rice, milk, and honey is a euphemistic description of a horrible death.
What kind of death? What kind?
Oh, the cruelest of the cruel. The diet of death.
Well, tell us. We can at least know what to expect.
If you insist, the victim is for a time treated as an honored guest, except that very little food is given to him. Then when the correct degree of hunger is reached, he is given a small portion of delicious rice and honey to whet the appetite.
Well, it doesn't sound too bad so far.
Wait. Do not jest. Once the appetite is whetted, the victim is crammed with dry rice, as much as possible, with just sufficient milk and honey to render it palatable. Thus filled, he is buried alive up to the neck.
Yeah, but if the victim's to be buried alive, what's the point of the preliminaries?
Oh, mere burial alive is not sufficiently ruthless to satisfy the barbarism of the pirates. The head is shaved and smeared with honey, so that the flies will torture and torment the victim to the limits of his sanity.
Well, that doesn't explain the starvation and the dry rice.
The victim is made to drink a great quantity of water.
Water and dry rice?
Yes. The dry rice he has been forced to eat swells inside his body. Swells and swells.
Oh, no. To death. So that's what's in store for us, Jerry.
The murderers dance with joy, watching this fearful spectacle until death delivers the victim from his terrible sufferings.
Oh, now I envy those who are left on the Ebenezer right. I'd rather have a bullet in the back than this.
No, we won't go through with it. We still have our tools aboard the junk. We'll take our own lives before we face a death like that.
Gentlemen, you will not take your own lives. The obligation which I am under determines otherwise. It will be for me a source of great pleasure to discharge this obligation. You saved my life. I shall now be the means of saving yours.
But how? How?
The pagoda of which I spoke is the retreat of the priests of Lao Tse, of whom I am one. We are Taoists. You will be Taoists.
Bill, I wish you could see yourself, eh? In those robes. You look ridiculous.
Oh, well, you don't exactly look like a Taoist priest yourself. Oh, I'll tell you this. I'd rather be laughed at making our escape than laughed at in the torture of the rice.
Ah, you are prepared.
I don't think we're going to get away with this. We don't look the part.
Oh, do not fear. I have instructed Chow Pei. He will lead you to Chilung. There is a trading junk there. The captain is my friend. He will take you to Chow Chow on the mainland.
Look, don't think we don't appreciate this. We do. We're most grateful, but to be frank, we haven't a chance of getting as far as Chilung. We're too conspicuous, even in these robes.
Ah, forgive me. I had almost forgotten. You will cover your heads, and you will wear these bells around your necks. Bells? To make certain that no one intercepts you, it is necessary that you make yourselves repugnant.
I don't understand.
Helpay will lead you and warn the people, as will the tinkle of the bells, that you are lepers.
The two friends, disguised as Taoist priests, affecting a stoop and with the bells tinkling their warning, were led to Chi-Lung. No one dared stop them. No one dared to risk the dread disease. At Chi-Lung, they boarded the Chinese junk and were taken to Chon Chau, just as the priest had promised. He had fully repaid his debt to them and saved them from the gruesome diet of death.
You've been listening to Tales from the Seven Seas, written by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen. Listen next week at the same time to another enthralling story of the sea, produced by Andre Botma. Springbok Radio proudly presents Tales from the Seven Seas. Stories specially written for this series by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen, and introduced by Hamish MacLeod.
To tell you tonight's story just as it was told to me by an old shipmate of mine. His name is Benjamin Briggs, and many years ago we sailed together. I hadn't seen him since, and it was only by chance that we bumped into each other. Well, naturally, we sat down and reminisced about the old days. And that's when Benjamin told me his story, which I've called The Devil and Benjamin Briggs. Aye, those were happy days aboard the old Pelican. We had a good skipper and a grand crew.
Yeah, until Cliff Bailey came aboard and slung his hammock.
Cliff Bailey? I don't think I can place him.
No, you wouldn't be able to. He was after your time.
Oh, I thought I didn't recognize the name. He joined the crew after I left, did he?
More's the pity. It was through him that I made the biggest mistake of my life. What happened to me, you'd hardly believe, Hamish.
Well, maybe no. I remember some of the yarns you used to spin, Benjamin.
Oh, this is no yarn, no. It was the most dangerous thing that ever happened to me. And all over a game of draughts.
Draughts? Oh, of course, you were the ship's champion. How could I have forgotten that?
I was the ship's champion till Cliff Bailey arrived.
And he turned out to be a better player, did he?
Better player? He hadn't the first idea of the intricacies of the game.
But he managed to beat you all the same.
Well, I wouldn't have minded it, Hamish. I honestly wouldn't have minded him winning. But it was the way he would jeer at me when he did. Now, you know what you yourself always used to say about winning and losing.
Oh, aye. When you lose, say nothing. And when you win, say less.
Yeah. Well, it's a pity you weren't there to say to Cliff Bailey. If ever a man enjoyed kicking an opponent when he was down, it was him. Go
on, Benjamin. It's your move. And you've been sitting staring at the ball for the last 10 minutes.
Don't try and rush me. I don't like to be rushed.
Oh, whether you rush or whether you don't, I'm going to beat you just the same. Oh, you haven't a chance. And you never will have when you're playing against a champion.
I'll remind you, Mr. Bailey, that I'm still the ship's champion.
Oh, not after this game you won't be. Go on, make your move. I'm getting bored sitting here.
We're all getting bored. Make your move, Benjamin.
Oh, leave him alone. He has the right to take his time. Don't let him put you off, Benjamin.
It'll take more than them to do that. Now then.
Oh, you've moved your man, and you can't take him back. Well, I didn't think that even you could be as stupid as that.
That last move was a mistake, Benjamin.
A mistake? Oh, a 5-year-old child would have known better. Why'd you call yourself a ship's champion?
There he sat jeering at me, and quite a few of the others joining in.
But he did beat you, Benjamin.
Well, it looked as if he had. But the thing was, I couldn't figure out how I'd fallen into such a simple trap. I went back over all the moves, and I couldn't see where I'd gone wrong. And the only conclusion I could come to was that Cliff Bailey was cheating.
Oh, but surely someone would have noticed. I mean, there's always a good audience for the draft championship.
But you never met Bailey, Hamish. He was crafty, a sly fella.
Did you have a return match with him?
I did.
And he beat you again?
Yeah, he beat me again. And his jeers and his insults was all I could do to keep my hands off him. I was in such a rage that I had to rush up on deck. I don't know what I'd have done. What I'd give to wipe that silly smile off his face.
Oh, so this is where you ran to, Benjamin. Came up here to lick your wounds, did you? You can't beat the champion, Benjamin. But I'll give you a few lessons if you like. And I won't charge you too much.
I'd give anything to wipe the board with him.
Anything, I think you said?
Huh? Where did you spring from?
You called me a double emergency signal.
What are you talking about?
Your distress call, and I am here to solve your problems. Now, here is the pact. All you have to do is sign it, and your worries are over.
Wait a minute. You're saying that if I sign this paper, I can be the ship's drafts champion again?
Oh, nothing simpler.
Then I'll sign. Do you have a pen?
Here we are.
Ah! Oh! It's red hot.
Dear, I'm so sorry. I came so quickly it hasn't had a chance to cool.
Lucky for me, I nearly signed this thing.
It's just a formality, you know, but they do insist on it. The pen is much cooler now, so if you just write your name on the dotted line there...
No. You just take your pact and go back wherever you came from. I'm signing nothing.
Oh, come, Mr. Briggs. You don't mean that. You're just a little irritated because the pen scorched your fingers, and I do apologize for that, most sincerely. Now, let us get back to business.
I'm doing no business with you. I better glance at the small print now. Go back wherever you came from. Go on.
Oh, but look here. When you called, I got the double emergency signal, and now I've materialized. I can't go back without a signed pact. It isn't allowed.
Isn't allowed? You mean you're not the chief?
Oh, good grief, no. We have a staff of millions, and we employ all the most modern methods. But even then, it's rush to try and keep up to date with all the business coming in. Mountains of paperwork, filing and cross-filing, and our computers working 24 hours a day. But despite the pressure, I think I can truthfully say that we managed to give our customers the maximum satisfaction. And you, too, can enjoy all the benefits of our services. So, if you just affix your name...
I'm not signing any pact, I've told you. And in any case, you think I'd do business with an underling?
Oh, that's rather unkind, Mr. Briggs. I always try to do my best. And I've already received 2 certificates of commendation for my conscientious approach to the work.
All right. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
Then you sign.
No.
But I've explained to you that after a double emergency signal, I can't go back without a signed agreement.
Well, it's your problem, eh?
But all I'm trying to do is solve yours. Please, Mr. Briggs, please don't be so stubborn about it.
You know my name, but I don't know yours.
Oh, in the old days, we used to be known by all sorts of curious names, but that was discontinued some time ago. And now I'm simply known as Agent 2734629878924235566.
Is that so, Agent 27? You don't look what I'd have expected. No horns, no tail, no smell of brimstone.
For which I'm devoutly thankful. The smell of brimstone always made me feel slightly bilious. But, like the old names, it used to be expected of us. Nowadays, it's all regarded as archaic, and we've become fully streamlined. And what a relief it is.
Is it?
You know, the tail particularly was always such a problem. If one forgot about it for a second, there it would be, tangled around chair legs or other pieces of furniture, wreaking havoc before one could do a thing about it. It takes a great deal of concentration to manage a tail, you know.
Well, I don't know, actually, but I'll take your word for it.
How kind of you. I knew that once we got to know each other a little better, we'd get on famously. And you wouldn't really like to get me into serious trouble down at HQ, would you? No, of course you wouldn't. I knew you wouldn't. So, will you put your signature to this little pack?
No, I told you I'd read the small print. I know what your side of the bargain is. When the time comes, you appear and collect my soul, don't you?
Oh, is that what's stopping you? But, my dear Mr. Briggs, you haven't thought about it properly. When the time comes, I'll be taking you to join all your friends. Isn't that something to look forward to?
The answer's still no.
But you haven't realized yet just how much I can do for you. I'll not only make you champion drafts player of this ship, I'll give you anything else your heart desires. What about a gold-plated sports car? They're becoming rather popular. I have several clients who requested them.
What good would that be to me when I'm at sea most of the time? Only cost me money in garage fees.
Oh, but I'll give you riches to go with it. Untold riches, which will more than cover your garage fees.
And how would I explain untold riches to the income tax man?
Our normal procedure is to arrange for an eccentric millionaire to leave you his fortune.
The answer's still no.
How about a ship of your own? Better still, an entire shipping line.
No.
Oh, there must be something you want. And I must have a signed agreement to take down with me, or I'll be in terrible trouble. They're very strict about it. And they'll say I misread the signal, but it was a double emergency, and you sent it out. If you've any sense of fair play, you do the honourable thing.
The answer is still no. Well, you can see that he tempted me with everything he could think of, Hamish. But I wouldn't give in.
Oh, I'm glad to hear it, Benjamin. I mean, as far as I know, a devil's pact always has a catch in it somewhere. At least that's what I've always heard.
And me, Hamish. That was at the back of my mind when he was talking to me. I knew he'd be trying to cheat me somehow, and thinking about that took my mind off Cliff Bailey. As a matter of fact, I forgot about him altogether until I went below again.
Oh, Benjamin, I'm glad you've arrived. We're working out a new system for the drafts championship.
Yeah, working out handicaps for Cliff here.
Well, obviously he has to concede some men. I mean, we can't start off equal with 12 men each. Not if we are playing Cliff. Wouldn't be any fun in the game at all. No competition. You just wipe the board with us.
Like I did with you, Benjamin. Yeah, put down against Benjamin's name, but I'll play with half the number of men.
You'll concede 6 men.
He'll do nothing of the kind. If he plays with me, we play the game as it should be played with 12 men each.
I am the champion, and I'm the one who has the final say on handicaps. And the only way that we could have any kind of game between us would be with you playing with 12 men and me with 6. Otherwise, it'd be a waste of time setting up the board.
Oh, is that so? Well, you may have beaten me by some lucky fluke, but you won't do it again.
If you concede 2 men, Cliff, that should be a fair game.
I'll accept no concessions. We are going to play with 12 men each. And I'm going to finish you off in 10 minutes flat. And that should wipe that smirk on your face.
10 minutes flat, he says. It takes you that time to think out your first move.
He's not far wrong at that, Benjamin. You were never what you could call a fast player.
I don't think you should put a time limit on it, Benjamin.
I've said what I've said. 12 men each, and I'll beat him in 10 minutes flat. I was really riled this time, Hamish. The insult. Cliff Bailey going to concede 6 men.
and the others enjoying the joke.
Oh, it sounds to me as if you're taking it a bit too seriously, Benjamin. I mean, it's only a game after all.
But in those days I played it seriously. And in this particular case, it was more than just winning. It was a question of putting Cliff Bailey in his place.
And you promised to do it in 10 minutes flat. That was rash of you, Benjamin.
No, it wasn't rash. Because when I heard them all laughing at me, I made up my mind then and there what I was going to do. Agent 27346298798
423566. Now, this time it really was a double emergency signal. Absolutely no doubt about it. And unless you sign the agreement, there's nothing I can do for you.
I'll sign it, but on one condition.
Aha. And what is this one condition?
That you guarantee that I'll beat the reigning ship's champion drafts player in 10 minutes flat.
Oh, nothing simpler, my dear fellow.
I want it written into the agreement.
Of course, of course. Only too happy to oblige. In 10 minutes flat.
Yeah, and just to make sure that there's no funny business, I want you to write something else.
Funny business? I assure you that we do our level best to give satisfaction at all times. We have had many centuries of experience.
Yeah, but people have been caught out when they sign agreements with your, firm. So you'll just add on that if I don't beat the reigning champion in 10 minutes flat, the whole agreement is off.
Null and void is the usual phrase, I believe.
Is that so?
And to show our good faith, I will add the clause. But I can assure you that in such a simple matter, you need have no qualms whatsoever. There you are. And now your signature.
How hot is your pen?
It's at handling heat by now, quite safe.
Right.
Welcome to our happy band, Mr. Briggs. Welcome, welcome. Your problem is solved, and so is mine. A perfect transaction.
So I signed the pact, Hamish.
Oh, Benjamin. You sold your soul to the devil for a game of drafts. You must have lost your reason.
I think maybe I did at the time. I was so determined to beat Cliff Bailey I could think of nothing else.
Aye, well, that's the way old Nick gets you into his clutches.
And at the time, I didn't care. All I wanted was to win that game in 10 minutes flat.
Benjamin, are you sure you won't take up Cliff's offer? He's still willing to concede the 6 men.
I stand by what I said before.
But not about the time limit, surely. You must take that back, Benjamin. I mean, 10 minutes flat. It's impossible.
I stand by what I said.
Well, I'll just have to teach you that you shouldn't make promises that you can't keep. Hey, set up the board.
If I don't beat you, Cliff Bailey, in 10 minutes flat, I'll never play another game of drafts as long as I live.
Oh.
And that's a promise.
Hey, Benjamin, what's got into you?
I said it, and that's all there is to it.
Then I'll make a promise, too. If you do beat me in 10 minutes flat, I'll never play another game. So, there's one or the other of us about to play his last game. I'm appointing you timekeeper, Frank. Now, let's begin. 10 minutes, you said, Benjamin. And I've beaten you in 8.
We have to log that up. It must be a world record.
I've never seen men disappear overboard at such speed.
You said you'd never play another game if you didn't win in 10 minutes, Benjamin. And it's just as well. You'll never live this down.
Where are you, you dirty double-crossing...
Please, there's no need to shout.
Tear up that pact. Tear it up.
I'm afraid that's impossible. It's a legal agreement signed by both parties.
Just read the last clause. You added it yourself. If I didn't win the game in 10 minutes, then the pact was null and void. Those are the very words you used.
Yes, but you won the game. You must have won the game. The instructions were programmed into our computer as soon as you signed the pact.
I lost the game in 8 minutes. Now tear up that agreement.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear. How could this have happened? Please, I must put through a query. I'll be back before you can say fire and brimstone. Well, I'm afraid there's been a slight error. Very regrettable, but you'll understand that in an organization as vast as ours, it's not always possible to prevent the occasional...
All right, never mind the excuses. What happened?
It seems that the reigning champion you were playing is a Mr. Cliff Bailey.
That's right.
It appears that he is an old established client of ours, and unfortunately on his agreement is the proviso that whatever ship he may be on, he must be champion draughts player. And since his pact was signed several years ago, I'm afraid it must take precedence. If you had thought to mention his name, perhaps the matter would have come to light sooner, and so prevented this very regrettable occurrence.
Don't try and shift the responsibility onto me. It's your organization that's at fault. Sheer inefficiency, not to mention blatant stupidity in drawing up 2 agreements for the same main clause.
But Mr. Bailey's was signed some years ago, and you can't really expect us to remember the details of every pact that's signed.
You can't run an efficient business. You should give it up. And that pact you made with me is now null and void, so you may as well tear it up.
Please don't be so hasty, Mr. Briggs. Mr. Bailey has prior claim to the draughts championship, but I could offer you Ludo or Tiddlywinks.
Tear up that pact.
I can't offer you chess. I'm afraid the Russians have already staked their claim on that. But there must be something I can do for you.
You can tear up that agreement and get out of here.
But think of my position. Do you know what will happen to me?
What happens to you is no concern of mine. Oh, give me that pact.
Mr. Briggs.
I know it's null and void, but I feel safer with it in little pieces.
It's my career you've torn into shreds, Mr. Briggs.
There's nothing more to say to you. Goodbye, Agent 2734, and whatever the rest of your number is. Goodbye. And that was the last I saw of him, Hamish.
Oh, well, you were very lucky to get out of it so easily, Benjamin.
I realise that now. It's not everyone who can beat the devil, and that sort of makes up for being beaten at draughts. Though, of course, Cliff Bailey didn't really beat me.
Well, that was the story Benjamin told me. And since he's an old friend, I wouldn't dream of casting any doubts on his honesty. But I will just say that on occasions, he sometimes has a habit of stretching the truth.
You've been listening to Tales from the Seven Seas, written by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen. Listen next week at the same time to another enthralling story of the sea, produced by Andre Botma. Springbok Radio proudly presents Tales from the Seven Seas. Stories specially written for this series by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen, and introduced by Hamish MacLeod.
Night's Tale is one I find a little hard to describe. I don't quite know into what category I could put it. All I can tell you is that it's a strange story. And once you've heard it, you'll have to form your own conclusions. The principal character is a man called Michael Wilson, and when the events which you're going to hear took place, he was in his late 40s, and his wife Isabel was a few years younger. Their only daughter, Rosemary, was married in the spring of 1976, and the ceremony and the reception were held in London. It all went off without a hitch, and my story begins after the wedding.
Not much further. We'll make it yet.
I'm half dead. It's so difficult trying to run in high heels with a dress trailing round my ankles.
A morning suit only looks easier, but it's worse for holding the heat. Oh, I didn't realize I was so out of condition.
And me. But at least the boat's still there. And surely if they see us, they'll wait.
It looks to me as if they're just about to cast off.
No, look. There's someone waving to us.
Encouraging us on. One final spurt. Come on, I'll take your arm. Made it.
So we did.
Your fares, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just trying to get my breath back. I won't be a second. Here. Take what you want out of that.
Thank you, sir. I wish you both a pleasant journey.
I changed notes into silver for tips, and now I'm left with this pile of it. It's weighing me down. Probably why I found running so difficult.
It was your middle-aged spread that slowed you down.
Oh, well, thank you for those few kind words. Though, if I remember rightly, before we went into the church, you said I could be mistaken for the bridegroom.
All right. I take back the middle-aged spread. Now, let's sit down and relax. Oh, we've earned a rest after that Olympic sprint.
We have indeed. Oh, well, that's better. Boat's more than half full, I think. Difficult to see properly in the twilight.
But it looks as if there are quite a lot of people travelling.
Yes.
Oh, I hope the weather's good on the Channel Islands and that they have a lovely honeymoon. Wasn't Rosemary a beautiful bride?
Yes. Seems like yesterday she was gurgling in her pram. Yet there I was, walking down the aisle with her on my arm. I've said often enough how time flies past, but today it really came home to me.
I know what you mean. I felt it too. Is it really all those years ago since our wedding?
I'm afraid so.
Well, I'm glad now that Rosemary decided to share the flat with Helen and Brenda when she did.
That isn't what you said at the time.
I know, but it was the right thing. For her and for us. We're accustomed to not having her around the house. I mean, if she'd gone on living at home right up to the wedding, it would be a greater wrench somehow.
I know what you mean. But the fact that she's married doesn't mean that she isn't our daughter anymore. We're still going to see her. Probably a lot more than when she was in the flat with the other two. Now that she's a married woman, she'll have all sorts of things to discuss with you.
Oh, yes. I'm looking forward to it. But it's going to take me a little while to realize she's not still a small girl playing house.
I'm still hot.
Well, don't take off your jacket unless you want to catch pneumonia. And a boat's just the place to get it. There's always a chill from the water.
Isn't it smooth, though? The boat seems to be gliding along.
Well, you'll never hear me complaining about that. It's not that I'm a bad sailor, but I do hate it when the boat rocks about and everything slides around. What are you staring at?
Some of the other passengers. Honestly, the things people wear nowadays. Look at that girl over there. She looks as if she's in her 90.
You're right. She does. Although, come to think of it, we must look a bit strange, sitting on a boat in full formal wedding attire.
Yes. It hadn't occurred to me before. Why on earth didn't we change?
Oh, it was all such a rush. That run to catch the boat. You know, it's taken me all this time to recover from it.
What's that noise?
Noise? I didn't hear any noise. As a matter of fact, I was just about to remark on how peaceful it is. Not a sound.
You can't hear anything? No, but it's there.
What is?
Like a crowd of people, but far off.
Well, I can't hear anything.
Listen.
No, I can't hear a thing. But if you can hear something, it must be coming from the shore. Wafted on the breeze.
But there is no breeze. Look at the water. There isn't even a ripple on the surface.
Oh, that's true. But if you did hear something, it must be coming from the shore, with or without a breeze. It's certainly not from the boat.
It's gone now.
I think you must have imagined it, Michael.
I suppose I must have.
Oh, I hope the wedding photographs come out well. I suppose some of them must. They took enough. But I remember when Carol Morton got married, they lost the negatives, and all she had were a few snapshots various relations had taken. And you can't very well get dressed up again in your bridal gown and have them taken over.
Of course not.
Well, I suppose you could, but it wouldn't be the same thing. It wouldn't be a memento of the day. And
Isabel?
Yes?
We didn't change our clothes.
Well, obviously not. But we've been through all that. We didn't change because we were in a rush.
To catch the boat. But we didn't bring any luggage, did we?
No.
Why not?
Because we didn't need luggage.
There it is again.
What?
The sound. The noise. People. People talking.
I can't hear them. Although I shouldn't think we're the only two on the boat having a conversation.
The sound isn't from the boat. It's from somewhere else. But where? Oh, it's gone again.
Well, I wouldn't worry about it if I were you. What was I saying? Oh, yes, the wedding photographs. I think they're very important. Something to look at and remember when the stardust wears away and life becomes real and earnest. Oh, I do hope they'll be happy.
The boat's so quiet. Not a creak. Not a sound. I've never heard of a boat that was completely soundless. And except for ourselves, none of the other passengers seem to be talking.
Oh, I think they are. Yes. Look at that old couple down there. They're obviously talking to each other. It's just that we can't hear them.
Why not?
Oh, because they're keeping their voices down. You don't really want to eavesdrop, do you?
Isabel. There's something wrong. There's something terribly wrong.
As the silent boat glided along the water, Michael Wilson gradually became aware of a feeling of unease within himself. When he had boarded the boat, his main thoughts had been concerned with his daughter's recent wedding. But now, although his wife was still preoccupied with the subject, he was not. He was filled with a strange and curiously passive apprehension. And the most peculiar thing of all, he found himself searching, not for the answers, but for the questions.
There's something wrong, but I can't think exactly what.
You're probably suffering from the after effects of all the excitement. Not to mention the champagne and the wedding buffet. Strange food never agrees with you.
The wedding reception. Yes, that's a good place to start. The reception is very clear in my mind.
It went off so well, didn't it? And all the speeches were the right length. Even Uncle Arthur didn't go waffling on as I dreaded he would.
Yes, they're standing by, ready.
What are you listening for, Michael? I mean, I know you weren't listening to me. So what is it? People talking again?
Not exactly. Wait a minute. I was going to start from the wedding reception. We waved goodbye to Rosemary and David.
Yes. I'm so glad I persuaded her to wear blue. She thought it was too obvious a color, but she looked perfect in it.
And then we chatted to some of the guests and to David's parents.
I must go back immediately.
I'm very sorry, madam. I'm afraid that's not possible.
But you don't understand. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know why I came on board. Left my children at home. They're waiting for me. I must go to my children.
Please, madam. You mustn't disturb the other passengers.
My children.
Your children will be fine. Now, please sit down again.
Fancy coming on a boat and forgetting about your children.
She said, I don't know what I'm doing here.
Probably she decided to come on board on a sudden impulse. Though what sort of impulse could make her forget her children, I can't imagine. What would you have said when Rosemary was small if I'd suddenly decided to take a voyage on the spur of the moment? Not that I'd ever have dreamt of it. And I could never have forgotten Rosemary. Not even for 5 minutes.
She said, I don't know what I'm doing here. What are we doing here, Isabel?
What do you mean?
What are we doing here on this boat?
Oh, well, we had to come on the boat to get to where we are going.
That's it. That's the question I was looking for. Isabel, where are we going?
To our destination, of course.
But where is that?
That was good work. Very good work. Of course, there's no telling. We'll just have to see how it goes. All we can do is our best.
I can tell by the look on your face that you're hearing your voices again.
You didn't hear him?
I heard the woman shouting, and I heard the man in charge of the boat speak to her. But that's not what you mean, is it?
No, that's not what I mean.
Oh, well, that woman's quietened down now. Maybe she remembers that she left her children with a reliable babysitter. I hope so.
I wish I knew what was happening.
Why don't you just sit back and relax and enjoy the sail?
Why didn't we go home after the reception?
Well, because we had to catch the boat.
No, Isabel, no. That isn't an answer.
I suppose I'm not in the mood for questions and answers. My mind's filled with Rosemary's wedding, and I haven't the space for anything else.
We should have gone home after the reception. And if we were coming on the boat, we should have changed into other clothes. And we should have luggage with us. Isabel, when did we decide to come on the boat?
I can't remember.
We didn't have tickets.
But you paid the boatman when we came aboard.
He took 2 coins out of my hand. It seems very little for a boat trip for 2.
Call me immediately if there's anything.
Michael, look. We're coming to shore.
So we are.
Such a lot of trees. Quite a few willows. And I think the others are black poplars.
It looks dark.
Because there are so many trees. I'm sure it's a lovely place.
Except that we don't know where it is. Or what stretch of water we've crossed. Or why we've come.
They're tying up the boat. We've arrived. Come on, Michael. It's time to go.
Oh, yes. That's more like it. That's much better. Much better. Yes. We're not quite out of the woods yet, of course. But with any luck. Yes. There's every possibility now.
Come on, slow coach. We'll be the last stop of the boat.
Excuse me. If I could speak to you for a moment. It's all right, madam. There's no reason for you to wait. Please carry on. It's your husband I'd like a word with.
I'll see you ashore, Michael.
What can I do for you, Mr.
Charon? I'm afraid there's been a slight error, sir.
About the fare, you mean? I wondered about that. But I didn't give you the money, you know. You took it out of my hand. I thought it was very little, but I assumed you knew what you were doing.
Oh, I did, sir. I did. And at the time, it appeared that you were entitled to come aboard.
Are you trying to say that I shouldn't have been permitted to come on board?
I'm afraid so, sir. I do apologize. I'm not quite certain where one should lay the blame for the mistake. There was a time when this sort of thing never happened. In the old days, one could be certain that every person who boarded was a bona fide passenger.
But in recent years, there's been an awkward number of people boarding who give every appearance of being legitimate voyagers. But then suddenly one discovers they are not.
Well, all I can say is that you've left it rather late in the day to make your discovery. We've already arrived.
Yes, sir, we have. But you will not be permitted to land, sir. Not on this trip.
I see. Or rather, I don't see. You said that I wouldn't be permitted to land on this trip, which implies that I will be allowed to land on a future trip. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Quite correct.
Well, since we've already made the journey, can't you find some way of cutting the red tape and letting us land now?
I'm afraid not, sir. It's quite out of the question. You will have to go back, sir.
Well, I'm really too tired to argue. Let me call my wife and we'll go back.
I'm sorry, sir, but your wife has already landed. You will have to go back alone.
Nonsense. I'm not leaving Isabel by herself.
She'll have plenty of company, sir, until she sees you again.
I really am tired. The air seems oppressive.
Only because you're not accustomed to it, sir.
Michael, are you coming?
I suppose there's really not much point in dragging Isabel all the way back and all the way here again. Isabel?
I'm waiting for you, Michael.
Sorry, darling. You'll have to wait a little longer. There's some mix-up, and I have to go back and sort it out.
Oh, what a shame. Will it take long, do you think?
I hope not. I really don't know. But wait for me.
Of course I will.
They're casting off. We'll be going in a second. You're sure you'll be all right till I come back?
I'll be fine. Only don't be too long. Just remember, I'll be waiting.
I'll be as quick as I can. Be seeing you, Isabel.
I'll be waiting. I'll be waiting.
We are almost there, sir.
But it seemed only a moment ago that we cast off.
Ah, yes, sir. The journey back is frequently faster. Though I have known cases where it's taken a very long time indeed. It varies, you know.
Much better. Much better. Improving by the second. We can pat ourselves on the back for this one.
You know, Mr. Caron, even although I'm not really thinking very well, it does seem to me that this has been a very strange experience. Though I can't say why. I can't quite put my finger on it. It's been the same since I first stepped into the boat. All along, I've had the feeling that if I could only think of the questions, I'd know the answers.
I've been ferrying this boat for more years than you believe, Mr. Wilson. And I still don't know the answers. Not the ones that matter.
You said Mr. Wilson. How did you know my name?
Part of my professional duty. And so is this. I must return this to you.
It's my fare. But I've been there and back.
There's no charge for coming back. And the fare over includes landing on the other side. Your coin, Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson.
Where? What? The boat. Caron. Where is he?
Mr. Wilson?
Who are you?
I'm Dr. Gregson.
Dr. Gregson. This is a hospital ward.
Good. Yes. This is a hospital ward.
What happened?
An accident. A car accident as you were leaving your daughter's wedding reception. You're a lucky man. For a while, we didn't think you'd make it. Your heart actually stopped beating. We thought we'd lost you then. But you responded to treatment marvelously. And here you are.
But Isabel didn't respond, did she?
We'll talk about your wife later, Mr. Wilson. I think
it's all right. I know.
She's dead.
Your daughter's here. She flew back from the Channel Isles, from her honeymoon. I promised she could see you for a minute, but only for a minute.
Daddy.
Here she is.
Daddy.
It's all right, Rosemary. Don't cry. I know where your mother is. She was smiling when I left her. She's waiting by the willow trees. She's waiting.
In Greek legend, Charon was the ferryman who carried the souls of the dead across the river Styx, and his payment was 1 coin. So a practical explanation of the story would be that while Michael Wilson lay unconscious, his brain created a fantasy based on this legend. But he himself would never agree to this explanation and insisted that his experience had been a true one, that he had been allowed to board the vessel when his heart stopped beating and been made to return when the doctors restored him to life. Nothing could shake him in his belief, nor in his conviction that Isabel was waiting for him beside the willow trees. As I said at the very beginning, you'll have to form your own conclusions.
You've been listening to Tales from the Seven Seas, written by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen. Listen next week at the same time to another enthralling story of the sea, produced by Andre Botman. Springbok Radio proudly presents Tales from the Seven Seas. Stories specially written for this series by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen, and introduced by Hamish MacLeod.
Progress is a fine thing in its way, and the various advances over the years have enabled the quality of life to improve in many respects. But of course, there's a price to be paid, and where man has paid rather heavily, in my personal opinion, is in respect of silence, peace and quiet. With cities everywhere becoming more congested, it grows increasingly difficult to find areas where noise doesn't intrude. And it was in order to find a haven of quiet that Dawn and Judy Barrett, the principal characters in my story tonight, bought themselves a neat little cottage in the tiny fishing village of Parsworth, on the edge of St. Austell Bay, Cornwall. Dawn Barrett was a moderately successful writer of crime stories, and a keen yachtsman in his spare time. Within a matter of weeks, the young couple had a nodding acquaintance with most of the people in the village. Aye, it was a pleasant wee place. Nothing extraordinary about it. And the curious incident didn't seem extraordinary either, at first. I called the story The Bright Red Spinnaker.
Point is, if the inspector knew about the footprints underneath the library window, why didn't he arrest the nephew then and there? Now, why? Because he didn't have enough to go on. That alone wouldn't be sufficient to... Suppose he didn't see the footprints. No, he's got to see them. That ties in with the story about the broken window.
Me, darling.
Ada,
arms are broken. Hello?
Hmm? Oh, hi, darling.
That's better. Kiss, please.
Hmm.
Thank you. What are you doing out here, by the way? Aren't you slaving over a hot typewriter?
Oh, plots come unstuck. I was going way off on the wrong tack. Thought I'd just sit here and watch the sea for a bit. Wait for some kind of miracle.
Which hasn't arrived yet, I gather.
No. As a matter of fact, I think I ought to just leave it for an hour or so. It's time my subconscious did some work. What lovely goodies did you get?
Nothing very lovely, I'm afraid. It was bread and butter shopping.
Oh, what's this?
Put that down.
Aha! With deadly accuracy, my intuitive fingers are fastened on the pièce de résistance. Lemon wafers.
Don't start eating them now. You'll spoil your lunch. Honestly, you're worse than a child.
Lemon wafers are to me what blood is to Dracula.
Oh, what a revolting analogy.
Intended to put you off lemon wafers for the rest of your life. Or at least for the duration of this packet. Thereby ensuring I get to scoff the lot.
Greedy thing.
What else have you got?
Stop rummaging. Go back and write thousands of saleable words.
I will, eventually.
I was going to get some letters, but I only had a few limp specimens, and they were 14p.
What? A lot?
No, silly each.
Any village news to impart?
Well, don't eat your lunch, you know.
Want a bet?
No, you never pay up when you lose.
Never lose, that's why. Any village news, he repeated, his voice raised several decibels in irritation.
Lots, she replied, cryptically.
So give, doll, give.
You know what your trouble is, don't you? You're trying to stave off the evil moment. You're even prepared to listen to vacuous village gossip. Anything rather than do what you should be doing, which is...
Getting back to the typewriter. Yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
No, not yet. Well, what news?
Well, Mrs. Gouge. You know Mrs. Gouge?
Gouge? Gouge?
The enormously fat lady with the national health glasses precariously teetering on the tip of her nose. I don't know why she wears them. She only ever seems to look over the top of them.
Right, we've established her identity and her appearance. Now, what about her?
She's been on a diet and she's lost 7 pounds. Isn't that fascinating?
Absolutely. You know, it's one of the most endearing things about Parsworth. The news is always so delightfully inconsequential.
And Mr. Molesworth, the chemist, what about him, then?
Now, what about him, then?
Well, he's mislaid 4 of his rabbits.
He's done what?
I had him telling Mrs. Gouge in the shop. He keeps rabbits, apparently. And yesterday morning, when he went to give them their vitamin pills, or dandelion leaves, or whatever it was he was going to give them, 4 of them were missing.
The nation will never stand for this.
You know, it sounds lovely when you hear these people discussing things like missing rabbits with the sort of intensity normally reserved for IRA bombings, Middle East crisis, and the like. I think it's absolutely fabulous. I can't wait to really belong here. I honestly can't.
For my money, they've got a much better sense of perspective than us. Well, not us specifically, but city dwellers, I mean. It'll take some time before we're fully accepted here. Yeah, it'll come, but, well, it'll take time.
I'm going to make some tea. I'm dying for a cup. Do you want some?
No, I don't think so, darling. I think I'll take a stroll down to the local. I won't be able to get back to the chapter I'm working on till I've sorted my inspector out anyway. It needs time to gel a bit in my mind.
Well, don't be too long, darling. I was planning lunch for 1 o'clock.
No. I'll just walk along by the yacht club and have half a pint at the Mermaid's Rock.
Oh, that reminds me. Funny thing. I was walking past the yacht club, and there was this beautiful big yacht there. Big thing.
Oh, what do you mean by big? 21-footer? 30?
Well, you know I'm not very good at sizes. Probably 30.
That's pretty big. Offshore cruiser, sounds like.
Anyway, it had all its sails up. The wind was sort of flapping them about, including that sail at the front. You know, the balloon sort of one.
Balloon jib? Spinnaker?
The spinnaker, that's right. Bright red. And there was this chap on the deck. He saw me and sort of beckoned to me.
Beckoned to you?
Yes. Well, at first I thought he must have been calling somebody else, but I was the only one in the vicinity. He sort of stopped me in my tracks, and I just looked. He waved me over again. I could see his face, and he was grinning.
Cheeky devil.
Actually, it wasn't very nice.
How do you mean, not very nice?
Oh, this slow beckoning movement of his arm and the grin. I don't know. It was sort of insolent somehow. Sort of mocking.
Was he a local?
Don't know. I don't think so. I've never seen him before. I don't particularly want to see him again, either.
I wonder who he is. You recognize him again, I suppose?
Well, yes, if I had to. I'd rather not, as I said. He was fairly tall, age about, anywhere between 20 and 40 odd. He was wearing a yellow oilskin jacket and a yachting cap.
No trousers?
Oh, idiot. Denims, I think. And he was barefoot.
Not bad, not bad. A reasonable witness. Perhaps I know who he is at the Mermaid's Rock. I'll find out, shall I?
Morning, Mr. Barrett, sir.
Morning, George. Morning.
Morning. A pint of cake, is it?
Just a half, thanks, George.
Yeah, right you are, sir. Fine today, though we'll have rain by nightfall, shouldn't wonder.
Yes, quite a fair breeze coming off the sea.
Southwester, that be. Rain not far behind it, never fails. There you are. Nice lively ass, that is.
Thanks, George. Have one yourself.
Oh, very kind of you, sir. Don't mind if I do. Take for F1, same as yours, if I may.
Oh, have whatever you like.
And 26p change. Thank you very much, Mr. Barrett.
My pleasure. Cheers.
Cheers.
Lovely. Cigarette?
Oh, no, not for me, thanks, Mr. Barrett. Been off 3 years now.
Don't you miss them at all?
Don't I have, sir? And how's Mrs. Barrett, then?
Oh, she's fine, thanks. Oh, yes, that reminds me. Perhaps you can help solve a little mystery.
If I can, sir.
Well, actually, mystery's too strong a word for it.
Oh.
More a question of satisfying my curiosity than anything else. A yacht down near the basin, 30-footer or thereabouts. Bright red spinnaker. Do you happen to know who owns her?
30-footer. Down near the basin, sir.
My wife saw it.
Well, certainly don't belong to nobody hereabouts, sir. Martin, you know anything about a 30-foot yacht in the basin? Bright red spinnaker?
What, you mean now, George?
That's right, now.
Won't be no yachts of that size here. Not till the regatta, and that's still 5 months away.
My wife saw this yacht just off the basin about an hour ago.
Oh, you're Mr. Barrett, ain't you? Yes, took over Buttermilk Cottage in the Bluff.
That's right. Don Barrett.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Barrett. Ain't you met Martin Fordham?
Well, I have now, George. How do you do, Mr. Fordham?
Oh, name's Martin. I do nicely, thank you. You see, your wife saw this yacht.
That's right. I was just curious as to who owned her.
I can't say as how I know any yacht hereabouts like you describe, and I don't know of any visiting ones neither. Not very likely this time of year.
Well, my wife saw it all the same. Actually, there was a chap on deck, and he waved at her. Tall chap, wearing an oilskin jacket. Yachting cap. Ring any bells?
No. Not with me, you don't. You, George?
No, me neither, Mr. Barrett.
Then my curiosity would have to go unsatisfied.
I take it the yacht weren't still there when you come along just now.
No, and I was looking out for it. Oh, well, it doesn't really matter. Probably just that one sailing past.
Could be, I suppose. More likely that's the answer.
Yes. You said something about a regatta in 5 months' time, or did I hear incorrectly?
Oh, no, you heard right. That's when we have our annual regatta. Get quite a few big yachts down here, then, for the Isle of Wight Perpetual Cup.
Oh. Perhaps I should enter the Aphrodite for that.
Oh, that's your boat?
Yes, gunter-rigged dinghy.
Oh, I don't think a dinghy would be much use in the Isle of Wight Cup, Mr. Barrett. Oh, that's a race for the big uns, the offshore cruises and the like. Such as the one your wife saw today. The one with the bright red spinnaker.
Sitting afore ye window, a watching of ye waves. Hi. I know. I'll go out and come in again, shall I?
Huh? You're back. Sorry, darling, I didn't hear you come in.
No, don't apologize. Obviously, it was a very crummy entrance, which I shall now endeavor to eradicate completely from your memory by trying a different one.
Idiot.
Nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. Hello. Well, it's 1 o'clock and I'm back. So where's me lunch?
Oh, just about ready. I saw that yacht again.
The one you told me about?
Yes. I saw it again from the window.
Did you? When?
About 20 minutes after you'd left. I just happened to glance out through the window, and there it was, just down below, quite close to shore.
Sailing towards Parsworth or away from it?
Away. Went outside and had a look at it. It was even closer than it seemed from the window.
Did you see your friend in the yellow oilskins?
He was on deck, and he beckoned again, just the same as before. I couldn't see his face, of course, but I'm willing to bet he was grinning like before, too.
I don't think I like this.
I didn't like it. I told you. Something creepy about it.
Maybe you've seen the Flying Dutchman. Only he's a little off course. By about 6,000 miles, in fact.
Time he got back on course again. Who is he? Did you ask down at Mermaid's Rock?
Yes, I asked George, who inquired after you, by the way.
Well, that was nice of him. And?
I said you were fine.
No, Plot. What did he say about the man on the yacht?
Oh, he knew nothing about either the yacht or the man. Definitely not local.
He hadn't seen it?
No. Neither did a chap called Fordham, Martin Fordham. And he's somebody you'd think would know. Apparently, he's regatta secretary for the Parsworth Annual Regatta.
And he knew nothing about this yacht?
Nope.
Somebody must have seen it, surely.
Yes, you did, darling.
I mean, apart from me. Well, it's a big yacht.
The English Channel is a big stretch of water.
So?
So he's a yachtsman who touched in at St. Austell Bay for a few hours and pushed on. Saw a very pretty girl and waved to her. QED.
Beckoned, not waved. Beckoned.
Trying his luck. What's he got to lose?
And Inspector Wayman wraps up yet another successful case.
Oh, why did you have to mention that? I've been trying to avoid getting back to Chapter 7 and Inspector Wayman. I wish I'd never created the miserable old wretch. Matter of fact, I think I'll kill him off.
Oh,
it would give me great pleasure to have him die horribly, humiliated and in disgrace.
Your readers would never forgive you, and neither would I. Lunch first, then back to your muse.
The weeks blended into months, and Judy and Don forgot all about the incident of the beckoning yachtsman. More and more, they became part of the village community. Judy, a good organizer, found herself being roped in for church bazaars, whist drives, and various fundraising activities. The congenial atmosphere, the peace and quiet, enabled Don to increase his creative output considerably, and gave him more time to indulge in his hobby of sailing. His nippy little dinghy, scudding back and forth across the bay, became a familiar sight. Summer arrived, and with it, Parsworth's Annual Regatta and the Isle of Wight Perpetual Cup offshore race. The wee village was brimful of visiting yachtsmen, and Don and Judy found themselves looking askance at the strangers in much the same way as the villagers did. There was another element in Don's appraisal of the visitors, a tinge of envy. He would dearly have loved to have taken part in the big race. Imagine his delight when Martin Fordham, the regatta secretary, asked him to do just that. One of the visiting yachts was short of a crew member, and the secretary had been asked if one of the locals would stand in. Don accepted with undisguised enthusiasm.
There she is, Judy, the Kittiwake. Isn't she an absolute beauty? 34 feet of racing symmetry, and this time tomorrow yours truly will be aboard her, and feeling her trim line cleave the water sharp as a knife. Isn't she a beaut?
Don, darling, that...
What, love?
I know this yacht. I know it.
The Kittiwake? Do you? Well, I shouldn't think so, darling. It's not a local. Ah, there's a skipper just come on deck. Hello there.
Tim. Beckoning. And now I know.
What are you on about, darling? No one's beckoning. That's her skipper, and he was waving at me, not you.
Don, you mustn't go on that yacht tomorrow.
What? Why ever not?
It's the yacht I saw before. I can't explain it to you, but I just know that you mustn't go.
What's got into you? Look, I'm sorry, darling, but it's all arranged. Race starts at 9:15, and I'll be aboard by 8:15 at the latest. we are. That's it. I've got everything. 5 to 8. 20 minutes to get down there. Give us a kiss and wish me luck. Your husband may well be a member of the winning crew. Oh, you're strangely silent. You're not seriously annoyed about my crewing on this yacht, are you?
No.
Lots of yachts have bright red spinnakers, you know. And yellow oilskins are quite common. In any case, there's nothing sinister about it at all, so stop being morbid and leave the imaginative fiction to me.
I haven't said a thing.
All right. I wish you'd cheer up. See you later then, darling. You might wish me luck, you know.
Good luck.
All right, Judy, what the heck do you think you're playing at, huh?
John.
I mean, for heaven's sake, you think I'm a child? You made me look an absolute idiot.
Darling, listen.
No, you listen. I very much wanted to crew on the Kittiwake. It was important to me. And just because you got some ridiculous bee in your bonnet, you make me miss the chance. And for what? Some superstitious nonsense that you couldn't even explain. You don't deny putting my watch back, putting the clocks back in the cottage, so that I would innocently imagine I was leaving at 5 to 8 in plenty of time, when it was really 5 to 11, and the race was halfway over. You don't deny it, do you?
No. I did it deliberately.
I know you did. I know you did.
John, listen. It was on the news.
What was?
The Kittiwake capsized off Prawl Point.
Capsized?
It was on the news. Capsized in very heavy seas. And there were no survivors.
The racing yacht was lost with all hands. Although it's not quite true to say there were no survivors, for Don Barrett survived, thanks to his wife having heeded what? Her intuition? Or was it more than that? Was the sight of that yacht and its skipper months before the tragedy, was it a portent of danger? A warning? I, for one, don't know the answer, but I'll leave you to ponder it for yourselves.
You've been listening to Tales from the Seven Seas, written by Annette Mackenzie and Jack Mullen. Listen next week at the same time to another enthralling story of the sea, produced by Andre Botman.